What if everything you've ever been taught about success is, well, wrong? Today, we're diving into a really powerful idea from researcher Sean Archer that happiness isn't the prize you get at the finish line. It's actually the starting block. We're going to look at the hard data and some real world case studies that prove a positive workforce isn't just a nice to have, it's a company's single greatest competitive advantage. So, this is the big question, right? It challenges a lifetime of how we're taught to think. We all know the formula. You work harder and harder, you become successful, and then you'll finally be happy. But what if that's not just inefficient? What if that formula is actually sabotaging our potential from the get-go? Yeah, this is that flawed model that so many of us run our lives and our careers on. It's this deep-seated belief that happiness is a reward for achievement. But what the science is proving over and over again is that this formula doesn't just push happiness off into the future, it actively limits the very success we're chasing. Here's that conventional path, laid out for us. The problem? It's a psychological treadmill. Every single time we hit a goal, our brain just moves the goalposts, pushing that feeling of happiness further and further away. And this endless chase doesn't just make us unhappy, it actually limits our brain's ability to be creative and successful. So let's just dismantle the three core myths that are keeping this broken system in place. Okay, the first myth is so deeply embedded in corporate culture, this idea that fun is the enemy of productivity. You know the thinking, to be serious about work, you have to be, well, serious. No playfulness allowed. But, as we're about to see, some of the most innovative companies on the planet have built their entire empires on the exact opposite idea. And just think about who said this. This isn't some motivational speaker. This is Richard Branson, a guy who built a global empire. He's not just saying fun is nice. He is explicitly calling it the secret to Virgin success. He gets it. Fun isn't a distraction from the work, it's the fuel for the work. And this isn't just a Virgin philosophy. Those foosball tables at Google, the massage parlors at Yahoo, letting people bring their dogs to work, these aren't just PR stunts. They're strategic investments. They're designed to trigger these little bursts of positive emotion, which neurologically primes the brain for creativity and for solving complex problems. It's about engineering an environment for innovation to happen. Now for the second myth, the massive, pervasive fear of failure. In most companies, mistakes are treated like these liabilities that you have to hide. And that just creates a culture of risk aversion that completely stifles innovation and basically ensures that the same mistakes get made over and over. But what if we started treating failure not as a final judgment, but as really, really valuable data? This is exactly that reframing in action. Instead of burying its failures, the CEO of Coca-Cola got up in front of investors and showcased them. This was not an admission of weakness, it was a demonstration of adaptive strength. He was sending a powerful signal that the company's ability to learn from its missteps was its greatest asset for future growth. Our third and final myth is this romanticized image of the lone genius. We're kind of conditioned to believe that these huge breakthrough successes are an individual sport. But the evidence, both from history and from modern science, points to a radically different conclusion. When we picture Thomas Edison, we imagine this solitary figure having a light bulb moment. But the reality is that the invention of the light bulb wasn't a solo project at all. It was the product of a highly collaborative team. Edison's genius was amplified by the 30 assistants he worked with. It just underscores a crucial point. Innovation is a social phenomenon. And the financial cost of ignoring the power of social connection, it is absolutely astronomical. According to a Gallup poll, bad relationships between managers and employees lead to an estimated $360 billion in lost productivity every single year in the US alone. That just proves that social capital isn't some soft metric. It is a hard economic reality. Okay, so now let's look at a real-world experiment that put this whole theory to the test. Back in the late 1980s, MetLife was in a crisis. They were losing over $75 million a year just in hiring costs because half of their sales force was quitting within 12 months. Their old way of hiring people had totally failed. They needed a radical new approach. So their solution came from the psychologist Martin Seligman, who told them to hire a control group based on one single trait, optimism. The results were, well, they were staggering. In the very first year, the optimists outsold their peers by 21%. By the second year, that gap exploded to 57%. And the most optimistic agents? They crushed their most pessimistic counterparts by a remarkable 88%. The takeaway is just undeniable. A positive mindset wasn't just a personality trait, it was a powerful predictor of financial performance. So the evidence is just crystal clear. From Virgin to Coca-Cola to MetLife, all the data points to a single, powerful conclusion. We've had the formula for success completely backward this entire time. Happiness isn't the reward for success, it is the fuel. The return on investment for happiness is undeniable. It drives higher sales, just like we saw at MetLife. It boosts productivity, as measured by Gallup. It fuels greater innovation at companies like Google and Virgin. And it builds stronger resilience, as Coca-Cola demonstrated. A positive workforce is not a luxury. It is a strategic imperative. And this, right here, is the heart of the happiness advantage. It's not about ignoring reality or being naively optimistic. It is a work ethic, and it's grounded in neuroscience. A positive brain is a high-performing brain. It's about intentionally creating the psychological conditions for you and your team to operate at peak capacity. So, we'll leave you with this question to think about. In a world that is completely obsessed with data, with technology, with market share, could the most powerful and overlooked competitive advantage be hiding in plain sight? Could it be the collective happiness of your people? The evidence we've looked at today suggests it's not just possible, it's probable.